Ooh, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Double windmill on the rocks. Mixed it right before I came in here. All right. We are live. It's 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night. That means it is time for the Get Off My Lawn podcast. I am your host, John. You might know me as Sandhills or Sandhills Shooter, but you can call me anything you want. As long as you don't call me late for supper, we're going to get along just fine. And slowly but surely, we do have a few panelists that are kind of drifting in here that are just finishing up Hit or Miss. Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time over on the Night Strike channel. And Night Strike should be here pretty soon because he's going to contribute to our chat tonight too, he said. So hopefully we gain a few more people in the panel and out there in YouTube land as well as we go along. But while we're here, I've got 3 of you in here with me, so we'll just go ahead and say hi because we've overloaded our panel again. We've got more Nebraskans than anybody by 3-1, but that's okay. So we're gonna let
anywhere else.
No kidding, right? There's only 3 Nebraskans, 4 of us if you count Sandhills Sweetheart over here in the producer's chair. So she is running the written or the typewritten part of the chat out there at YouTube land. So be sure and say hello to her. If you're out there watching again, if you're new here, you maybe haven't heard this. If you've been here before, then you know what I'm going to say next. If you're watching and you're not typing, we don't know you're there. So drop those comments out there in the YouTube chat so we know that you're out there watching and we can say hi. And then also, if you're watching this after the fact on the replay, drop those comments down below so that we know that you were watching, and anything you want to mention as far as things that you heard or saw here, your own input, especially tonight. If anybody has any helpful tips or tricks that didn't get mentioned on tonight's podcast, go ahead and drop those into the comments. You can also reach out to us by email. Sandhillsshooter@gmail.com. Make sure it is Sandhills Shooter. There's 2 S's in the middle there. So you can always catch us that way. Or reach out to us on Facebook, facebook.com/Sandhillsshooter. So those are all the places to find us. We're going to let the odd man out say hello first. So coming to us from not Nebraska, we've got Duke Liberty himself hanging out.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for the invite. Real excited about being on the panel tonight. Got some great guys as well. Thanks as always. Have a good night. We're excited to be here.
You betcha. Thanks for being here. All right. We've also got there from South Central Nebraska, we've got Pat Hirsch, who is not in the field and right now not pulling a calf.
Yes, actually, kind of a rare treat tonight. Dad's actually in the tractor tonight, so yeah,
nice.
just glad to be off work and chilling out a little bit with you guys. And thanks for the invite.
So it's kind of like Jim Carrey said in Dumb and Dumber: old people, while slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
Yes, I can.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, and now I kind of was hoping that we were going to rain on Night Strike's parade, but I hadn't told you, so you didn't know.
No,
so
I had no
not
idea.
your fault.
No, it's okay, man.
That you were in his chat too. I was just gonna hope you skipped his and ate supper and then jumped in here, and I was just gonna rub his nose in it that
it's all right,
you didn't love him enough to join, but you loved me. So anyway, Night Strike and I are not gonna fight over who Travis loves more because we all know it's me.
Well, yeah, obviously. Jeez, after Tulsa, how could I not? Sorry,
you know
that was
what?
maybe too much info for everyone.
You know what happened in Tulsa stays on YouTube, actually.
Yes,
so
yes, exactly.
Actually,
yep.
Yeah. You can go check out some early videos here on my channel and see what happened down in Tulsa. The infamous karaoke fiasco and the after hours hanging out in the hotel room singing songs to my wife. We had never enough ammo, Night Strike, Travis and me. It was a good time. All in good fun, and nobody got spooned that was unwilling. I'm just going to say that.
That's right. It was all consensual.
Anyway, thanks for being here, Travis.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the invite, man. Thank you very much. Just for any listeners out there, I will be dropping a new video on Thursday. I did finally get a chance to take out the 300 blackout pistol upper. out to the range, the new range, after getting it back from repair. So we're going to see how it performs. So check out my channel, Travis P11, on Thursday for a new video.
All right, had to drop something in the.
It's all good, man. Yep. And as always, appreciate the invite, man.
Yeah, you betcha. All right, had to make a funny out there in the chat. Not to make light of that, but anyway, I got my own opinions on some of what's happening in the news that we're not gonna talk about. I was just poking fun at Sarge. Okay, out there in the YouTube side, let's see who's already here and talking up a storm. We've got Kingpin, the most firster of the first. He's still firsterist. Anyway, I was here first because I built the chat, Kingpin, but then I left. So there you are. Vanessa Kitty, G23, Sandhills Sweetheart, of course, over there, like I said, in the producer's chair. Who else do we have? Blitz is back with us again. Fluffy 10mm Jeep guy, welcome back. The Rolling Trip, I do not think I've seen you before, so welcome. Trauma Jock is here. Haven't seen you in a while. Justin Gibbons. Jason Stewart's here. Who else do I have? Calaveras, the Tactical Pickle. Ohio 45 ACP, what's up? I don't have your email, but if you need a link, Ohio, we can sure get you one. Steadley's out there, Southpaw's out there, Poor Conservative, M. Gabriel, Sarge, Keith Gregory. There's a bunch of people joining in. Guy that comments, 402 Outdoorsman's out there, Stealth Hunters out there. We've got a big pile of Mystic Guns, big pile of people in here already. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So anyway, we're going to jump into our topic, but first, Travis, I got your gift in the mail.
Yeah.
And
wow, that was quick. Okay.
I know. Yeah, I was kind of surprised it came this fast too. But I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to install that grip on my handguard. Because if
you got M-Lock, you're good to go.
I'm going to have to talk to you after the chat when we can maybe turn a camera on or something and actually put stuff in frame, because I'm not sure how that is supposed to work with the.
It's okay. Real quick,
it looks like I'm going to need to put a wrench in there and hold a nut on the inside of the handguard. I don't have anything that's going to be that long.
That washer, that little flat disc is threaded. That goes inside the handguard.
Okay.
And then the bolt goes up, and then eventually the tension of that disc will turn itself and lock itself into place.
Okay.
And that's it. It'll lock itself into the sides of the M-Lock. That's how I've installed it on my M-Lock handguard before. That's exactly how I had it on there.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a whirl. I didn't have time to mess with it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
So cool. We'll check that out anyway. Travis, is cool enough to send me up a vertical foregrip, but I just can't. I'm not going to risk any channel strikes by even showing parts and pieces right now on live.
Oh, yeah.
So.
No, the only thing I changed was just the bolt, and that was it. The one that Magpul gives you, it was all worn out because I've used it several times. Gotcha. So all I gave you was it, but it just mounts that way. So, yep.
Cool.
Yep,
so that's awesome. Well, thank you anyway for that. So,
no problem.
All righty. So we've also got a newcomer now into our chat. We've got the One Percenter this week. Unloaded Media. We've got Rich White with us. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing all right. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So, all righty. We've got Jacob out there in the chat too. Welcome, Jacob. All righty. Keep that live chat going. And if there's anything that you need to have read out loud, make sure you tag one of us here in the panel. The way that you tag is just put the @ symbol right in front of the screen name, but you have to spell the screen name exactly the way it is written there on the screen, including capitals and spaces and all that. Those all matter. If you do that, then it highlights it. We can see our name lit up, each one of us on our own phone or computer there. So, Tim. Oh, hey! Before I forget, Tim, happy birthday! A couple days late. Tim Donahue had a birthday, and I'm not going to say how old a young man you are, mostly because I don't know, but also because it don't matter. But happy birthday, Tim. So I was going to forget to do that, but I'm glad that I saw your name in time before I got too far into the topics here. So, all right, we're going to talk about vision stuff. And the biggest reason is because I don't have vision problems. And because I don't have vision problems, I've never had to overcome any when it comes to aiming a firearm, pistol, rifle, magnified, reflex, anything like that, iron sights. It's all been, easy for me. I can close one eye at a time. I can pick which eye I'm going to close, and I don't wear any kind of corrective lenses. Knock on wood. One day I'm sure I'll be old enough and my eyes will start to fail, and I'll get some glasses. But for now, I have not had to fight with any vision issues when it comes to shooting a gun. Now, when I'm trying to help Sandhills' sweetheart out, I am no good to her when I try and help her aim, especially a handgun, because she's got kind of a few things that are stacked up against her when it comes to being able to see her sights. She's got astigmatism. She's got double vision. It's hard to focus. And then throw in cross-eye dominance with all that. And the fact that she cannot close just one eye or the other. She can blink, she can close both eyes, but not just one. And so all that kind of makes for just what I assume is just kind of a jumbled up mess when she looks down the slide of her handgun at her gun sights. So when it comes to, defensive pistol use, I tell her just to try and put the white dot from her front sight right on the target, and squeeze the trigger smoothly, and then kind of see where it hits, and maybe adjust a little bit. That's the best advice I can give. I know that a lot of you out there, some of you in the panel, and a lot of you out there that are watching and listening right now, actually know what I'm talking about from firsthand experience, which I don't. So I'm really coming to, I guess, pardon the pun, shed some light on the subject of how to aim when you've got things that aren't quite right with your vision. And so I'm going to, I guess we'll kind of go through everybody's experience, and we'll just kind of go through the panel a little bit, or I shouldn't say go through the panel, but we'll give everybody a chance to talk if you want to jump in. If you have vision issues, we'll let the panelists kind of tell us what issues you have, and then what you do to get past them. If there's exercises or tricks, anything that works to put your shots where you're aiming, or where you want them to go on the target. So we'll just let whoever wants to jump in, and then we won't walk on each other, and we'll let everybody have a chance to talk.
Okay. She's recoil sensitive, right?
She is not so much with the 380 EZ though. That she has a lot of fun shooting it, and she's not sensitive to that one.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say she could try the SIG 365, P365 with the SAS model with the Nepro light sight on the back.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's recoil sensitive, that has about as much recoil as what your shield would.
Yeah, I've shot the 365. It's not any softer than a shield is, so or not much anyway.
Yeah, they do sell that sight separate. If you go on like Optics Planet or Brownells, you can buy that sight system separate. It replaces the rear sight on your pistol.
Mm-hmm.
They'll sit flush on the top of the slide. So maybe that would be an option for her, because you just point that little dot at your target, center it in that little glass bubble, and it uses tritium and fiber optics, so it'll work in day or night. So maybe that could be an option for a handgun sight. I don't know if it'll work with the Shield Z. You'd have to find out.
Yeah, I have to look and see if they've got one that fits that dovetail. Now out there in the chat, Stealth Hunter says, look at Trigicon HD night sights, do the blacked out rear, which honestly, I probably wouldn't even bother changing out the rear, because we've got the two dots that are on the rear sight from Smith. We've blacked those out the same I did on my shield. So the only dot is on the front sight. So if we swap that out for a high visibility, Trigicon and fiber optic or glow in the dark or something front sight, I could maybe see that. Sarge says get her a red dot. We don't have the I don't even know if there is a 380 EZ that's milled out for a red dot mount. I'd have to take it and get it custom
And depending on how
done.
bad her astigmatism is, red dot wouldn't work anyway because it would just show up as a big blob and not the nice clear dot that you want.
Which we don't have a lot of experience looking through any kind of red dots on a pistol right now. So
that's why I don't have a red dot on my AR-15. That's why I went with a prism scope, because that's etched in the reticle like regular scopes would be, and I use that like you would a red dot. So if she's going to be shooting your AR-15, that might be an option for you guys for on the site. Would be something like a prism scope for that instead of a red dot. With some with the astigmatism where your eye shape and causes the astigmatism, the dot doesn't show up as a clear dot. It shows up like a blob and might have like artifacts that are branching off from it and what have you. So
Ohio 45 ACP says red dots to him look like a starburst with his astigmatism.
Yeah, exactly. You get some effect like that, or it look like a little nebula or something. It's really not. They're not at all. It's real hard to aim with them.
Fluffy is asking about a laser. We'll get there, Fluffy. Don't let me forget, because we will. I'll bring that up, but not right now. But we'll go there now. Sweetheart, I have had you look through the red dot that I have on the AR. Have you noticed? Is it a nice dot? Does it look like a starburst when you look through it? Is it something that you can aim and kind of just put on something when you've looked through it? So that may be an option even for a pistol, but not for the pistol that we have. And again, we're going to run into an issue of I don't know that there's any 380 out there that has an option to mount a reflex sight on it. So we may have to maybe one day look into having something custom milled.
Yeah, you might be able to get a 43 and have that slide milled. The way the EZ's made with that loaded chamber indicator, I don't know if they could mill the slide on that to put an optic on that or not.
Yeah, it'd be awful tough, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or if there was just if somebody would even build an aftermarket mounting plate that maybe just went in you'd have to take the rear side off, but if it went in the dovetail, I could see maybe that could be a possibility. You'd just lose your option for the iron sights, but they wouldn't be tall enough anyway, I guess. So yeah, good stuff. Before we go any further, we've got Night Strike in here. So hi, Night Strike.
Hello.
How's it going? We're just going through right now, and I'm not really going around the horn, but I will let you have a chance to talk. So as far as you said that you kind of have an insight into shooting with some vision issues. So do you want to kind of talk about what your issues are and then the things that you do to get past them or get through them or whatever is the case?
The problem is I've got astigmatism in both eyes. I wear glasses. I have to wear them. Otherwise, everything is blurry. It doesn't matter whether it's close up. If it's close up, I can probably see it. But when it's further than an inch or two, yeah, I can't see it. It's all blurry.
Gotcha.
So I've been living with this most of my life. And the problem is, if you have bad vision, you literally just have to live with it. Yeah, you can go and get, you can if your vision isn't that bad off, you can go and get laser surgery to fix some of that eyesight problem. But that doesn't always fix the problem. You end up having bad eyesight problem even worse later on in your life, unfortunately. With me, even with my bad vision, I use iron sights a lot on my guns, and if I need something more precise, then I go for a red dot. As long as it is, if it's a clear circle or a clear crosshair, red dots are good. But scopes or mil dots are also good because those help out. Now, granted, I know you're not going to have those on handguns. I understand that. So a good RMR on a handgun might be the way to go. And if you're looking at something small end because of 380 and whatnot, I don't know because I don't know if I don't know of any 380s that have RMR cuts.
Yeah, somebody out there, might have been G23, says there are dovetail plates that you can get, so that may be an option. We'll have to see. I mean, like I said, it's not such a bad issue right now that it's not like her groups are 3 feet wide. Her groups are maybe a foot wide. Without being able to see the sight or the target very well, I think she does pretty dang well actually. So, Ohio 45 ACP out there in the chat. Travis, I'm going to let you field this one. He wants to know, doesn't Sky offer a 380 with a reflex sight? Do you want to?
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say that. Man, it's funny is I just had a person comment on my Sky falling apart video. And and this person was complaining about having a lot of the same issues that I did. And this person just bought theirs a little while ago. Now they do have the DVG1 coming out pretty soon, and I think that's only going to be a 9. But that is a different trigger design, but it doesn't mean mechanically it's going to be any better. So I'd have to look around a little bit to see if there's any other 380s out there that have a native RMR mount on the top of the slide, without having to use like a special dovetail mount or anything like that. So, yeah, I can't recommend it. It's an uncomfortable gun to shoot. You have to practice with it a lot because of the heavy trigger. I mean, it's you can see your hand move as you pull the trigger. It's like a 10-pound trigger pull.
Oh my gosh!
So it's not. It's you get used to it. I shot the heck out of it. Obviously, mine fell apart. So
yeah,
all 3 of them did. All 3 of them basically. I mean, my daily carry was the one that took the most abuse because it got practiced the most. But my other 2 had the same issues. So I can't recommend it honestly.
Yeah.
I would just up to it. And you know what? The recoil on the 380, from what I've read and what I've seen, it isn't much different than it is on the 9 because they're basically using the exact same frame. So you feel the same kind of recoil through the grip, and it's a punishing gun to shoot. You're going to feel it the next day after you take it to the range the first time. So, I mean, I don't like it. But just real quick, I was going to tell you with my wife, she's nearsighted and she's right-handed and left-eye dominant. And she ended up basically learning how to shoot as a lefty to get over that kind of an issue. So if anybody has that kind of an issue going on, now it's a little bit of a complication with buying her firearms because, with an AR, you've got to worry about brass in the face and so you kind of have a specialty market. You have a higher price you have to pay for lefty guns sometimes, unfortunately. But they're out there. In fact, I know Bud's Guns has a whole section you can click on that's just for left-handed shooters. So if you want to learn how to shoot left-handed, if you're, say right hand dominant, but you're right hand dominant but left eye dominant, or vice versa, you can learn to work with it. So she shoots better than me too. So obviously,
yeah. Well, and kind of some of the general consensus looks like out in the YouTube chat right now is just sights are overrated. If you have enough ammo, you're bound to hit the target eventually. So does anybody know where we can find extended magazines for a 380 easy, like maybe some sort of a drum or something? If we had 50 rounds, then we'd probably be okay. So it's gonna be harder to fit in the purse, but I think we can rig something up.
Yeah, that would be nice, but I don't think they exist.
I'm seeing Galloway makes a +1 magazine extension. I mean, they'll be coming. I'm sure that somebody's bound to put one out there, like a +1 or +2, or there's bound to be something that's going to come out there eventually. How many rounds does that take? The 380 easy.
8 in a magazine, so 8 +1.
Somebody could come out with a 10 that you could buy on eBay because they allow at least 10-round magazines on eBay for sale. And sometimes you get a lot of just kind of no-name brand companies that make stuff because they can. So
if they would even somebody would release a base plate that would, add a couple more or something like that.
Yeah, Galloway. Looks like Galloway Precision has one for the 380 Easy. Yep, and they make good stuff. I bought their guide rods and springs before for pistols. They make good stuff. So
see, there we go. So we don't need to aim. So aiming is overrated if you have enough ammo. Just send everything down range. Just fire for effect and see what hits, right?
Yeah, or you just carry a couple spare mags on you too.
Yeah. What if we get like a Mac 11? I mean, those are 380. So you those are probably what 30 rounds in a magazine there. I mean,
no. Go with 10s. Go with 10s.
No, we're gonna go 380 because of the recoil. So we're gonna go with a Mac 11, but
no, go with 45.
Sarge is throwing a link out there.
If you're gonna get a Mac, you get it in 45. You don't get it in 10. 380.
Right. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm not going to screen share it, but I did click that link, Sarge. I've got that up. I'll take a look at that here after a while. So a lot of people are out there commenting that they're cross-eye dominant. So now everything that we talk about tonight isn't necessarily going to be just to help out my wife. So before we go too much farther, Travis, have you had anything else that you've had to overcome as far as your vision? Because I know you wear glasses.
Yeah, I've got contacts. An issue I run into with me is just putting in the contacts temporarily to wear to the range, just mainly because of eye pro. And unfortunately, contacts can dry out in like a heavy wind, and they don't always stay where they're supposed to. So that's a problem with my shooting a lot of the time, unfortunately. But as for me, no, I'm pretty blind without my glasses on. So that's it. I mean, I have no hand dominance issues or anything like that. So, and if I've gotten better with being able to shoot with both eyes open. One thing that got me to practice with that quite a bit was something I learned. I shot on the UNL rifle team for 2 years, and we have one of these like little blinds that goes on the back of your scope. It's like a little piece of cardboard, and that goes off to the left or the right depending on what eye dominance you have, because we would use peep sights on the rifles that we shot with, and that little card would allow you to leave both eyes open, but you wouldn't notice anything out of your left eye if your right eye dominant, because that card would blank out everything in front of you. So you trained yourself to keep both eyes open when you were shooting, so you wouldn't get strain in your eyes after extended shooting sessions. So I don't know if they actually make anything like that anymore or not. It's just like a little like card that hooks on the back of this was on the back of the peep sights, but you could get something that would go on the back of your scope. And it goes off to the left and allows you to leave both eyes open, so you can kind of get around the habit of closing your eyes when you shoot or closing one eye when you shoot. So
sure. And another option, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before we went live. And it may look, you may feel silly doing it, but if you're somebody that cannot close only one eye, because I know that there are people like that out there. My wife's not the only one. If you have a hard time only closing one eye, but you need to, as far as like, looking through a scope or something like that. I know a lot of you out there are going to say that you can shoot a scope with both eyes. I know you can, but I can't, because it's not how I learned. And every time I try, it just drives me batty. So if I couldn't close just one eye, I mean, I probably, maybe I'd learn that way, but you can get an eye patch. I like that better even than putting tape on shooting glasses, because I can flip that eye patch up and still see if I want to have both eyes open if I'm shooting or something. I don't have to swap my glasses out, but you can cover up just the one eye, and that way you don't have to worry about not being able to close just one or the other. So, I mean, that's an option too. Duke or Pat, either one of you have anything you want to kick in there before we kind of move to another part of the topic?
Just wanted to say that, like, I have astigmatism in both my eyes, fairly bad, and one of the problems that I had, I bought a red dot, and I really didn't know this because I'd never ran a red dot before, and it was a pretty nice piece of optic. I shelled out some money for it, and it was just starburst so bad in my right eye that I could see it for like the first 5 seconds, but then my right eye would just start watering so bad that I wound up going to a light up reticle, and it was actually way better than just having that red dot straight in the center. I shouldn't say red dot. Yeah. Just a light up red center on a big hunting scope. And I finally had to get rid of it because my eye went way too wonky. But when I got a light up, the reticle itself lit up, I was fine. And another problem I had with scopes is that if I had my left eye closed for too long and it was just my right eye looking through the scope for more than a minute, and I'm a big deer hunter, that the same thing happened. Is just that my eye would go all fuzzy and blurry, and finally I had to learn how to keep both eyes open. And it was a little bit for my mind to process at first, and I had to do some practice at it. But once I actually kept both of my eyes open, for some reason it cured it. Then I could look through that scope all day long. So I don't know. I have really screwed up eyes. I've got I have to wear glasses, and
Now, is that
bad stigmatism?
Is that an optic mounted
What's
on a rifle or mounted on a handgun?
It's on a rifle. When I'm hunting and I've got to look through that scope for a long period of time. If it's just got that tiny little red dot kind of in the middle versus just the optic like a crosshair or a prism kind of setup around it, I'm fine there. But if it's right in the middle of the target, for some reason, my eye just goes absolute wonky and just starts watering. And so for whatever reason, my eyes are screwed up, or my family's eyes are bad. So I come by it honest.
There you go. There you go. All right. Duke, do you have anything that you fight with as far as vision problems go? And then if you do, what do you do about it?
Yeah, I have good vision now, but I had scratched my my eye and had about 6 months recovery, which is crazy long. You think your eye's going to recover in a couple of weeks or something, but no, I had scratched my eye and I had about 6 months recovery. So I had to totally switch the way I even carried my gun. I had to go from I'm a left-handed pistol shooter, so I had to switch to right. So I guess it would just be to compensate. I remained stuck with the iron sights, no red dots or anything like that. But I guess the compensation would just be practice and putting your pride aside on my end and just going back to the basics. So not a whole lot on my end, but yeah, that's what I got.
What do you guys think if practice isn't enough? I mean, you can practice and practice and practice, but if you just can't get those groups to shrink down because you just really don't have 100%, I'm not going to say 100% control, but you're just not 100% sure or aware always of where where those sites are lining up or if they're lining up. I mean, what do you do to not get discouraged? I think that's part of it too, is, we're at a point, I guess, in our house where, good enough is good enough. But if we wanted to get them, to where we never had any flyers come off of the target paper and hit the backboard, what would be maybe some more suggestions besides just saying practice? Because if I'm doing something the same way every time and it's never improving, then practice isn't the only thing. I need to change the technique too, I guess. So when it comes to just using, I guess the next question I have is red dots and all that kind of stuff. Those are a great idea and they're down the road. But for right now, we don't have that as an option, to go out tomorrow and put on the gun. So what can we do? Say in a couple days we go back to the range, and Sandhills Sweetheart wants to try something maybe a little bit different, just trying to line up the sights or something like that. What other advice can maybe somebody throw out there with iron sights when your sight picture isn't perfect? It's not like the textbook shows.
I'll tell you what, man. Try practicing. Maybe try getting some reduced recoil ammunition that might improve accuracy a little bit. If you have the know-how yourself, or if you have a friend that could do it, maybe get a trigger job on the firearm so you have a slightly softer trigger. Maybe it won't be so notchy or gritty. That might increase your accuracy, so you're less likely to, throw off the shot. Mm-hmm. Also, start shooting at this is gonna sound crazy, like 2 feet in front of you, and then 3 feet and 4 feet. Do 3 rounds, take it out a foot, 3 rounds, take it out a foot, 3 rounds. So you get comfortable with just kind of knowing that center mass zone. So as you take it out further and further, you can start to see what kind of a tendency you have. Are you pulling to the left, to the right? Are you just kind of throwing them all over the place? And maybe you might just have to accept the fact that if you've got to use that gun, God forbid you have to do it, but it might have to be a closer distance than what you want to do, and you might not be thinking that emergency situation, but you might just have to realize that you might be limited to 15 or 20 feet if you're going to have to defend yourself, because you can't safely fire that firearm, say, 25 yards away from you if somebody's coming at you with a knife, okay? So I would say start at a real close distance and really get a feel for what those and again, that's going off the practice concept, but you're also getting yourself conditioned to knowing where that bullet's going to go at that close distance, and then slowly work your way out and see what's going on. And again, it could just be a situation where you just can't get past that. Maybe some hand exercises to have a better grip on the gun, a stronger grip on the gun. Anything you can to enhance accuracy, man.
That's actually, I had never thought about that. That seems like a really good idea. Out there in the chat, Kingpin says, the better my vision, the longer I'm single. Well, we're not going to do it tonight, Kingpin, but if you want to, I guess we can have a matchmaker chat here in the next couple weeks, and we can see if there's any single eligible females that would, maybe want to meet Kingpin. I suppose we can see what happens, dude. We're here for you.
Night Strike's got an app for that anyway. You can just go over to the gun. What was it called? The gun tube gun match, or what was the? I don't even know.
It's something Squib and Travis P11 came up with it. I just ran with it. Gun Connection.
Gun Connection. There you go.
I think it's.
We're pro 2A single people can get together and
exactly
go to the range
yes.
and then see if they click. Right?
Yes. Exactly. That's you can meet up with people that have like interests in you and check the box off on reloading, or check the box off if you enjoy long sessions cleaning your gun.
Yeah, Defense Dad in the YouTube chat said that he stole his daughter's neon orange nail polish and painted the front sight. Made a world of difference focusing on the front sight with his astigmatism.
Good idea too. So maybe the white dot's not enough. Maybe we need to really brighten up that front sight. And I don't think we even have to steal anybody's nail polish. I don't know what colors we have in the house. They're usually not super, super neon bright stuff, but we'll see what we got.
I got some I can send you.
You need a really, really annoying and outgoing color.
Annoying and out. I was with you until you said color, because she has a really annoying and outgoing husband, but that's not going to help here.
Well, we're not talking
What
about
kind of
him.
nail?
We're talking about nail polish.
Right, I get it now. I know what you were saying now. I get it.
Yeah, something like a bright lime green, a bright yellow,
There you
bright
go.
orange, bright pink.
Yeah.
We have lime green. We got lime green dang near everything in this house.
There you go.
Because of the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma support color. So
yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Sandhills Sweetheart is in remission, but non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is something that she's probably never getting rid of entirely. So yes, lime green, that's a color we love here. So for all of you that are going through that or know somebody that is, we can relate. Anyway, all right. So the next question I have, and the red dots are definitely going to be part of this, and I'm going to throw lasers into it too, because I know
Not
for
lasers.
What?
Not lasers.
Yes, lasers. Yeah, we're going to bring lasers in too to the discussion. Now, I know that a lot of people say that if you have a laser on a gun, or even a red dot on a gun, sometimes that you'll use it as a crutch, and you will not aim correctly. You won't use your sights if you have a laser, and you'll start to depend on it. And then if it's not there, then you're kind of up a creek or whatever. If it breaks, batteries run out, something like that. Now, the question I have is, what if you have to depend on a crutch to get around every day of your life? It's not always an evil thing in my mind. If we were to get a laser, yeah, she's going to use it, but if it works better than the spray and pray method, is it such a bad thing? What do you guys think about that? In some situations, I know that, even without a laser, it's not like we have a wild handgun going off where we never know where the rounds are going. It's not, like I said, the groups aren't that bad. They're really pretty good for, like I said, what I imagine she sees for a sight picture. She does better than I probably could, overcoming all that stuff. But if there was a red dot or a green dot out there on the target to look at and focus on, what do you guys think in a situation like that where the normal sight picture is not that good of an option? Is it okay to learn to lean on a crutch?
Dude, I think so. I think if you can drill yourself and again train yourself to be proficient with that dot do some, if your range allows it, some draw practices, some draw practicing at home. Get really good with it so that you know to look for that dot when you pull it. I don't see why not. I mean, it's just another advantage you're giving yourself. There are some disadvantages to it: bright light outside, longer distances, But say it's going to be an indoor self-defense kind of an issue. If your mind is conditioned for taking those shots at 5 or 10 yards, and you train with it good enough, and you're quick enough with it, you could be just as deadly as somebody who's going to use iron sights.
And the thing you got to remember with the laser is that laser is not always going to be the exact point of impact. It'll give you a rough idea, but it's not going to be the exact point of impact like your iron sights maybe.
Sure, but if we were to zero the thing at 5 yards, if we get out to, chances are pretty slim we'd ever shoot the thing farther out than 10. So if you zero a laser at 5 yards, what's the change from POA to POI over, out to 10 yards? We're only looking at a couple inches, right?
Yeah, it would be a couple inches, but I'm just saying that's something you got to take into consideration.
Sure.
But that's not going to be the exact same point.
That's again something that you can practice with and account for.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to make sure you compensate for the fact that the dot's not going to be hitting exactly where it would. Like you said, you sight it in at 5. It's not going to hit the exact same spot at 10.
Right.
That's something you got to keep in mind so that you account for it. That's all I was saying. And I'm basically the same thing you just said.
So if you do have a laser, figure out for sure where you want to, at what range you want it zeroed, but then put the practice in. Do the thing like Travis said, where from just a couple feet, see if it, see how much difference there is from where the dot is to where the bullet actually strikes, and then back it up past 5 yards and out to where you're comfortable, maybe a step or two back further than that, and just see where it hits. So, you've got to know that stuff exactly. It would be irresponsible to not practice at different distances so that you do know what the laser, not only what it can do, but you got to know what it can't do. So that's a great point. I like that.
Just can tell you real quick. I just found some information on you. It says by applying the sight high zero method with the laser about 1.5 inches above the sight at 10 yards, your bullet will strike the target somewhere within 3 inches of where the laser is pointing out to about 20.
So that's going to anywhere between 0 and 20.
Yes, yeah, and you're going to have perfect, as long as you're center mass, you've got that probably 5-6 inch zone for hitting vitals. So you should be good. Yeah. But again, you got to train with it. It's got to become second nature to be able to use it. Just like if you shoot with your carry gun enough, you know what that trigger's going to do. You know where the bullets are going to go. You know what kind of mistakes you make with it. That you just got to get conditioned to it.
Yeah. I would recommend practicing at different distances so you know exactly where the point of impact is going to be at those distances.
Now, out in the chat, Philo says lasers are great for muzzle awareness, especially indoors. Which that makes a lot of sense too. You can see exactly where your muzzle's going all the time. If you zero at 25 yards, you'll hit center mass every time at self-defense distance. You're talking a couple inches. So if you zero the laser at 25, then anywhere inside of that, you're going to be still a shot that will end the threat.
And to zero that, if you're going to be at an indoor range, if you can't, maybe sit down, take some of that fatigue off of you. Get your shoulders planted.
Maybe rest it.
Sort of a pistol rest, yeah, really, because 25 it doesn't seem like a lot, but an indoor range it can be kind of a challenge to even see where that dot is. You're going to want to make sure that you get as accurately as you can, or start maybe 10. Start at 10 and work yourself out to 25.
I was just 2 days ago. No, yesterday. It was just last night. Went with my friend. My friend bought the almost the same rifle I did. He bought the traditional A2 style front sight and traditional handguard Ruger AR-556. So we took it out yesterday and got his sights zeroed in at 25. And I got to tell you, I can pretty well put the red dot on. Even on my target bullseye out at 100 yards, but those iron sights, even my eyes that I don't have issues with, it's totally a completely different thing, which I'm not used to using the peep rear, the ghost ring rear, but it's not that hard to adjust to. But just trying to get used to that and then be able to see exactly, where that front sight post is on a black target at 25 yards, that's a challenge.
Yeah, then
So-
becomes more of a combat accuracy, a minute of man accuracy. Once you start
That's
getting past,
exactly. Yeah, we were trying to get his to. He's eventually going to scope it and probably take it out for coyotes and whatnot more than home defense. But it's definitely minute of coyote accurate, 25 yards with his irons. But yeah, I mean it's just a completely different critter than even just the red dot, mounted on the rifle. There's a huge difference that I noticed here last week when I took mine out and I zeroed in my MBUS sights. Huge difference trying to shoot that at 100 yards with those versus the red dot. So, but I came close. So I think I was still within minute of threat anyway. Definitely not minute of angle, but that's all right. All right. Anything that anybody else has that you want to throw in there as far as lasers or anything like that, or having to lean on the crutch a little bit more than most people do when it comes to aiming your firearm?
Much this would help, but when I was in RTC on the marksmanship team to strengthen our shooting eye, we had a blinder that came off the side of the sight where you couldn't see with your it blocked your left eye's vision.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're still looking through the optic with your it wasn't an optic, it was the peep sight.
Peep sight,
You're looking through just the peep sight with our right eye, but we were still keeping our left eye open. Maybe like somebody was joking around saying about a pirate patch, like you give a Halloween costume, but maybe something like that, if she were to wear it over whichever eye she doesn't do her primary aiming with, would help strengthen the eye that she does the primary aiming with while she's at the range, and that's focus on the sights.
That's something we could even experiment with just with some dry fire in here at home too. We wouldn't even have to go to the range to see if that improves or if it doesn't improve the sight picture. So we can try some of that stuff out just tomorrow night. So good stuff. Yeah, that little tab off to the side of the side. I think that's what you were talking about, wasn't it, Travis?
What I was mentioning earlier was something we had on our peep sights, but no, I'm just putting all kinds of stuff on the left side there. Recommendations for red dots for people with astigmatism. I don't know what else I put on there. Plus one mag extension for the
I saw that
380 easy.
I got all those links open. I'll the ones that Sarge was throwing out too. I got those open too, so I'll check those out here after we get done tonight. So thanks all of you for throwing those links out because information is our friend. So the more info we have, the better off we are. The more you know, right?
There you go.
Knowing is half the battle.
Yo,
right on,
Joe.
All right. Okay. Does anybody else have any vision issues that we really haven't gotten into yet? And I'll kick this over to Sandhills Sweetheart too. Do you have any questions that we haven't covered yet? She says no. Okay. So does anybody have anything else as far as other vision issues we haven't covered? We haven't really talked about complete blindness, but I was going to see if Patriot in the Dark would join the panel tonight, and I don't know if he saw my message or not, so I will I'm not really going to get too much into shooting as a blind person because none of us here on the panel know what that's like. So I don't think any of us can really speak for it. So we'll let that part go for now. But what else is out there for vision issues that we didn't really cover yet?
I'll chime in here for a second.
Yeah.
My grandpa, he wasn't ever a big deer hunter or really had any scopes on anything, but he loved to shotgun hunt. And he was cross-eyed where he was right-handed, but sighted off of his left eye. And he used to shoot...
Cross-eyed dominant, not cross-eyed?
Yeah, cross-eyed dominant. Sorry. I said cross-eyed, didn't I?
I think those two things are different.
But no, and his dad didn't even catch it, but he shot enough with, he grew up with 22s and 410s, and You know, that's how they ate some of the time when he was a kid, you know, go out, shoot a pheasant and stuff like that. And, but he was that way, and he just had enough practice into it that shooting with his left eye and being right-handed, that eventually it just became second nature to him. And that's just the way he always hunted. And how he did it, I'm not sure, but I got to shoot with him a couple times before he passed on, and it was really weird seeing him trying to see across the gun like that. But he could, you know, he was good with a shotgun. That's all I can tell you. So I thought it was kind of weird. I've never seen anything like that before.
You know,
I
it's
know exactly what you're talking about, man. My grandfather was the same way, and he would use rifles with rifle scopes. He would get his head shooting right-handed to where he could see down the scope with his left eye. I could never do that comfortably. I don't know how he was able to do it. But,
I don't know that he did it comfortably, but he did it.
Right.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that do that. Or like I was saying before we went live, my father-in-law, Sandhills Sweetheart's dad, I'd never, up until here a couple weeks ago, they actually stopped by the range when we were out there. And so he shot my AR, and up until that day, I didn't know that he shot a rifle left-handed. Excuse me. So he went to shoulder the rifle. I said, "Aren't you right-handed?" He goes, "I shoot left." So I'm guessing it's probably because his left eye is dominant, which is probably where she gets it from. But I mean, if you can learn to switch sides, and if you can learn to shoot southpaw, that's definitely an option. Not so much an option for me, because my left hand is pretty well worthless. It's good for holding the steering wheel, and it's good for holding a fork when I'm cutting a steak, and that's about all it's good for. Anybody that plays basketball against me, just know that I may fake it, but I'll never go left. I can't dribble that far with my left hand. So out there in the chat, Jason's got a great comment, so I'm going to bounce this one through everybody and get your feedback. He says, "I'm using a red dot co-witness with my irons. I looked through the sights with my dot on top of the sight post. Am I doing it wrong?" Those of you that have had red dots and have co-witnessed with iron sights, is that the right way, the wrong way? Do you do something different? What do you think?
it's one way you can do it. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I know people that have had their dot right on top, as and when you look there, you don't see the top of the post. I've had other people I know that would dot the eye with the red dot right over top of the post. That's one of the reasons why you have co-witness sights, is so that you can do that. So in some cases, it might actually make it easier to zero your red dot. You zero the iron sights first, and then when you put that dot on top of that post, you got your zero for your optic in some cases. So yeah, that's not a wrong way to do it.
Very, very cool. And now I'm just going to throw this out there, and I don't have experience shooting a handgun with a red dot. Very little experience shooting a rifle with a red dot, but I don't have, at least not right now, I don't have my irons and my dot co-witnessed on my rifle. But Jason, I would say that if it works for you and you are consistent and you're accurate with it, then it's the right way, because whatever you are consistently accurate with, there may be a better way or a different way, but it ain't wrong. So if it works for you, then do it. Golf swings have changed throughout the years. There used to be a right way to do it, and I imagine it's different today than it was 100 years ago, because technology and technique and everything has changed. Holding a handgun has changed since 100 years ago, and how many different stances have come through, and how many different stances have been the right way to do it according to the instructors, and that is constantly changing too. So again, if it works for you, then go with it. If the cup and saucer method, you're accurate with it, yeah, I would agree there's better ways to do it. But if you're accurate with the cup and saucer, doing this, then have at it. Who am I to say that you're doing it wrong if you can hit the bullseye more times than I can doing it a different way? So Sarge says he runs lower third co-witness. The irons are out of the way when using the red dot. Now, part of my issue too is I think if I actually had my red dot zeroed at a different range, then my dot may be higher up in the in my lens, but with a 36-yard zero, that actually shoots high at 100, which means the dot itself, I think, is probably lower in the tube than, it's not dead center. So even though I've got the extra tall plate, in my Spark, it comes with basically it's a shim, and you can put it on with that, and it'll do a lower third co-witness, or without it, it'll do a true co-witness with your irons. But with mine, it's close to a co-witness. It's not quite on top of the front sight post, but it's close. And that's with the shim in it. So, but I'm thinking that's because with a 36-yard zero, my dot's fairly low in the tube overall. So that it could be that. I could just be all wet too. I don't know, but it's almost a true co-witness even with that shim in there, because my dot is close to the lower third of the sight picture when I look through the tube. So
yeah, I use a true co-witness on the irons on my AR when I have them on there. Because I use the up style. So, like Sarge was saying, he uses the lower third because it keeps the sights out of the picture. You can see at the lower third of it. I use the true co-witness with mine, but then with the fold downs, they're not there all the time anyway to interfere with anything. But
right, very true.
But I only have them on there in case something would happen and an actual lens would get broken. Because again, using the prism scope, that reticle's always there. If the battery dies, it just doesn't light up. You can still see it and use it for aiming in daylight and whatnot.
Right. If my battery dies, I've got my M-bus that I can flip up there, and there's just not a dot there. Right. So unless something happens and I crack a lens, and then I'm kind of out of commission because I don't have an Allen wrench close by to pop that red dot out of the way so that I can use my irons again. So I guess if something would happen where I'd shatter a lens, then I couldn't see my front sight. That would suck.
Yeah, that's where a quick attachment point comes in handy. Then you just flip the little lever and it comes right off.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. But that's not what I have set up. So hopefully it just holds up and it never cracks.
What up?
This one.
Yeah, you can. They should have one that you can get aftermarket for it.
That's okay. It's on where it is for now, so I might monkey with it sometime. But it's mounted, it's Loctited, it's good to go. So it's not coming off for a while. And I truly hope that I never have to get into a situation where I ever actually have to use that rifle for its intended purpose. It's just in case, and hopefully that case never just comes in. So out in the chat, users got a comment or a question. Looking for a Gen 4 Glock 17. Trying to choose between a Glock 17 FS, Glock 17C, or a Glock 17 MOS. What would the panel suggest? Now, I don't know what the difference between an FS and a C is with a Glock. I know what the MOS is, but can anybody enlighten me as to what those first two are?
FS has the front serrations on it.
Okay.
Your MOS has got I don't know about the 17C. Is that like a more... I think it for a second. Oh, compensated.
The top of the frame.
Gotcha.
Hole in the top of the frame.
Yeah, you got your compensated barrel or whatever. Yeah, the slide. Yeah.
It's going to be for carry. Stay away from that.
Yeah, I would go MOS because down the road, if you want to put an optic on there, you can.
Well, the MOS is probably going to be a little bit... Well, I don't know, compared to some of those other special editions. I mean, it might not be any more pricey. If the MOS is affordable, I say get it, because you can always run it as a traditional, with your stock sights. You can always pop the old red dot onto it if you want to. So I would say do that. Honestly, if we ever got my wife a Glock, it would probably be like a Glock 19 MOS, just because having the red dot would be a nice option for her.
It is about $100 premium that you pay to have that MOS flexibility. It's because usually you pay about $550 for a 17. I'm looking right now, Buds. It's $666 for a G17 MOS. But I mean, that doesn't matter.
What's it going to cost if I send my slide off to get milled somewhere? I mean, close to that time I ship it and everything else.
And that's fine. I'm sure there's companies that do a great job, but I'd rather have a factory with the plates that come with it and a factory mount, not have to And it depends. I mean, will they be able to preserve your rear sights or not? You know, I don't know. I guess I'd rather have it done from the factory, to be honest with you. But there are great companies out there that do it too. So that's just me.
Oh, I missed a comment. Sarge says the cup and saucer stance isn't used with semi-autos because if there's a malfunction that causes the mag to blow out, that is a bad day for your left hand or your support hand. That makes sense. Had never thought about that. So keep that in mind if you're shooting an automatic. If you put your hand underneath that mag well and something happens and that mag blows out, your hand is going to get wrecked, and that might not be a good day for you.
Yeah, here's something else to consider with that Glock with the MOS. With the MOS, you're not going to have to pay for a slide cut, which is going to cost you more than what the MOS is marked up over a regular Glock 17 is, and you can always get a threaded barrel and put a compensator on there later for less than what it would cost to get a slide cut. So that's another way you can look at it. Then you end up with one that's both compensated and has a slide cut for less than what you would pay over the cost of the pistol to have both of those things done aftermarket.
Right. Heck yeah. Plus having that option with a threaded barrel means that you could put a compensator on there, or down the road you could get yourself a can too. And if you've got that red dot, chances are that's going to be taller than the suppressor is too. So you don't have to you don't have to worry about extra tall suppressor sights. Unless you want to co-witness your red dot, in which case then you've probably already got them. So now on the Glock MOS, does the rear sight stay on when the mounting plate comes off, or is the sight mounted to that plate?
No, your rear sight stays on.
Because I know like Walther's, I think it's Walther's PPQ, whatever the Q4, Q5, whatever those are that have that are optics ready. If I remember right, the rear sight is mounted onto the plate. So when you take the I guess you call it the dummy plate, the one that doesn't have holes drilled and tapped in it, that when that comes off, so does the rear sight. So then it's just a red dot is all you have then.
From what I'm seeing on the Glock website, it looks like it stays.
Yeah. Well, some of those red dots for the pistols now have a rear sight built into it as well, with the help with that with the pistols that have that.
That's kind of cool.
I think the P365 XL has it like that, where the rear sight part of the cover plate. I think the 320 does also. So when your optic has the sights built into it as well, that helps compensate for that.
That's cool. So, all right, is there anything else that we have left out? I do have a question that we had missed, but thank goodness we have Sandhills Sweetheart making sure that I don't leave anybody behind out there in the chat. So I'll hit this question, but first, is there anything that we've missed that we still need to talk about? At least those of you in the panel.
I don't think so. We covered a lot of different options.
All right. Now, this is, again, one I have to defer because I don't have any experience with this. M. Gabriel wants to know, does anyone see second focal plane reticle shift because of diopter looseness? Now, I've never had a second focal plane scope. I don't think I have. I get them mixed up, but I think everything that I've got is what are the cheap ones? Are the cheaper style the first focal plane or second focal plane? I don't even know. I'd have to go back and take a course on the differences. I know that one of them, the reticle stays the same size no matter what magnification you're on. So if it's got bullet drop compensation marks on it, then you have to be at full zoom for those to be accurate. And the other one, they're accurate no matter what magnification you're on, because the reticle grows and shrinks as the zoom goes in and out. And I can't remember which one is which. So anyway, once we established that, does anybody have any insight as far as having reticle shift because of diopter looseness?
Check the link on the internal. We can talk about first versus second, but honestly, I don't have an answer on that one.
I couldn't tell you. I've never had a red dot have that happen.
All right, so
it looks like on second focal plane, your crosshairs do not magnify, but your image does. On first focal plane, everything magnifies in. Everything gets magnified. Your crosshairs MOA marks and your target also.
So on regular scopes, yeah, I've never had it happen. So.
Okay, so second focal plane is the one where you have to be at full magnification before your mil dots or your BDC hash marks are accurate. And the first focal plane is the one where the reticle gets bigger and smaller with your zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So second focal plane is what I'm used to because I don't have any scopes that cost over $400. I never have had, but the first focal plane, I know that you get into those are usually the more expensive scopes, but it's nice because if it's a variable power, then your mil dots are correct even at half zoom or whatever it is. If it's a 2.5 to 10, then it's the same. The mil dots work the same on 3 power as they do on 10 power. So the second focal plane is the normal hunting scope that we're all used to. Anybody ever seen diopter looseness cause reticle shift on those? I'm not even sure exactly what that issue is, and I'm not a good enough precision shooter to know if I've seen it or not.
I haven't.
It's just not me.
And the only scope I currently have is the prism scope, so that's
Okay.
That there's no magnification on that. It's 1x. So
Gotcha. Sweet. Calaveras out there says his $280 Athlon is a first focal plane. That's pretty cool. So,
Gabriel said something about that.
oh, and Gabriel says if I wiggle the diopter adjustment, the reticle moves on my cheap scope relative to the target. So, by diopter adjustment, are you saying the zoom control? Because I just call that the zoom ring. Is that what you're talking about, M. Gabriel? Because I don't have anything else that moves or wiggles.
I think the diopter, that isn't it the plus and minus rearmost ring that you can turn for like focus, if I'm not mistaken, for just sharpness of your eyes without having to adjust the zoom. Isn't that what I thought diopter is?
that might be your focus.
Yeah.
It's that back, the very back ring. Not even the zoom. It's the one at the very plus. Not all of them have a plus minus. Like a lot of your fixed ones don't even offer that. But
I remember all these darn terms in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says he tried to fix it with a hose clamp.
I've never had any problem with that because I've got on my big deer hunting rifle, it's got that, and all it does is just sharpen up the image when you're trying to get it focused in at long ranges or short ranges. And I've never had one that has ever been loose like that where you wiggle it around and everything shifts like that. So I've never had any problems with that one.
Okay,
so I've never have either, so I don't know what to tell you.
Now, normally, don't those normally have a separate little collar that once you get that part set, then you screw that little collar out and it kind of works like a lock nut?
Some do, some don't. It depends on the optic.
Okay. I guess I have had that, but I've never had one that didn't have the little I guess it's just basically a nut, just a little threaded ring that screws back out, and you snug that up to it so that it won't move. It works like a lock nut.
Yeah. The ones that I've ever ran have never had the lock nut on it, and I've never had any problems with wiggle or, taking a couple shots if you're just trying to get it dialed in with losing that sharpness and focus from the back. They've always stayed put for me. So
gotcha. So it may be M. Gabriel. It may be time to maybe look into a newer scope or something that's maybe just a little bit further up the chain in quality. Possibly that would be the thing that I would probably suggest there. Go with something that has a good warranty on it. It doesn't have to necessarily be loopholed, or pick your brand, pick the scope that you like, but maybe spend just a little bit more, and you might have that problem whipped. I'm not saying that any problem can be fixed by throwing money at it, but at the same time, there is something to be said for cheap scopes versus a little bit more expensive scopes. I think you do get what you pay for the most part with with optics.
Yeah, I know Vortex and Primary Arms both have decent scopes that aren't up in the Leopold price range, but and they're almost as good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I've seen some good stuff from Vortex for 130, 150 bucks. You know, it's not going to be a super fancy scope, but it, you know, if you're looking for something like a 3 to 9 variable power, you know, by 40 millimeter, it's going to be a good one. So Eggerizer dropped a super chat for the Diopter Duct Tape Fund. You know, between duct tape and WD-40, you can pretty well fix any problem. If it moves and it shouldn't, use the duct tape. If it don't move and it should, use the WD-40. So thanks for that, Eggerizer. Guitar Man Pete says mechanical offset will teach you more in principle than learning BDC on a shot you will never take in real life. Okay, that makes some sense. Mechanical offset's something that I usually think about those fail videos of guys that are leaning their AR over the hood of their vehicle, or they've got the muzzle in line with the mirror and the scope's looking over the mirror, but then they shoot the heck out of their side mirror because the muzzle's up against it or something. That's usually when I think mechanical offset, I'm just thinking about the guys that didn't pay attention to it.
You'll see that in tanks because some tanks use a periscope optic aiming, so they'll be looking over the berm with the optic, but the cannon itself will be pointing right at the dirt berm that's in front of them. You'll see that a lot, like in tank school, with tankers are first learning how to drive a tank.
Now, if it's a thin enough berm, that probably doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, well, no, it'll still throw off the shot and everything. And if they're using an HE round, oh boy, they're in trouble. Because that would go off right in front of them.
Let's see there.
But usually they're using practice dummy rounds on like board games and stuff like that. But I've actually seen that happen. We were when I was in junior RTC, we went out with Pitt, their ROTC program, on one of their training exercises, and we were going and there were some tanks that were doing their practicing and stuff in the area, and we were watching them. Right, the one tank, he's like the lieutenant that was with us. He was a tanker, but he was doing the ROTC instruction thing at the time. But he started his career as a tanker. He's like, watch, they're not paying attention. They're going to hit that hill in front of them because of where their optic is and where the barrel is. Sure enough, he called it. They hit the hill instead of shooting over the hill.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I don't have a whole lot else to cover tonight. I know I had talked about last week doing something different with talking about a few things as far as defending the castle. We'll get there next week. So we've got a couple things that have happened. One of them happened here in Nebraska. The other one, I can't remember exactly where it happened, but we'll go over those articles next week. And if I find anything else in the meantime, we'll cover kind of that too. But I want to throw some scenarios out there, and then we'll talk a little bit about just what it means to defend your castle. It's different from state to state, but can you use lethal force if somebody is in your house? Can you chase them down if they've got your stuff? That kind of thing. We'll get into that next week. So we will let everybody on the panel kind of wrap things up and give any final thoughts, and of course any plugs for channel or videos or anything like that. So let's just kind of go in reverse order of the way people came in here. So we'll start with Mr. Night Strike. Thanks for being here, and thanks for inviting me to hang out with you for a while on Hit or Miss earlier tonight.
Yep. No problem. Thanks for being there.
Check out the GunTube. Check out guntube.org. Night Strike is responsible for that. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't all six of us get to hang out in this cool GunTube chamber that we all meet in before we go live onto YouTube for everybody. And then what is it? Gunconnection.net. If you're single and ready to mingle, but you want somebody that you can take to the range on that first date, it's a great place to meet folks.
Telling you, man, it worked for me.
It really?
No, I'm just.
Who'd you meet, Squib?
Kingpin actually hit me up. He saw my profile and was interested and didn't realize it was me until afterwards. So,
Isn't that awkward when you click on somebody's profile and you find out it was your wife? I mean, I hate wait, that's never happened. I did click on.
Peanut colada.
Well, there was one time a couple years
Whoa,
ago.
hey,
I clicked on somebody's profile. She sent me a message. She said she was interested, and I didn't know her at the time, but now she's my wife. So that's actually what I meant. So,
Man, don't you just love it when that happens?
yeah. But I'm here to tell you that all the good women are taken off of those dating apps because I found the only one and I married her. So there's.
Well, they're all in Nebraska. They're all in Nebraska, so that's it's the hidden secret about our state. So find us ladies anywhere. So yep.
Kinky says, "I wish a girl would take me to the range for a first date." I'm telling you, we just need to have a
Come on, Kinky, let's go.
Single mingle chat here one of these weeks. We'll have to see what we can do. So, all right. Anyway, we'll move along. Rich, you are next.
Be sure to check out This Week Unloaded Sunday nights over on the Unloaded Media channel between 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern start time. Give people time to roll in from Crazy Scotsman's chat or Yankees chat, what have you. And you never know what we're going to talk about. Travis, you want to fill them in on what we did this past Sunday?
Yeah, man, we had an epic discussion. Well, I mean, you could almost say it was kind of a philosophical argument against each other on which Easter candy was the best one. So, I mean, it was families were broken, marriages were dissolved, people left in anger, and I mean, it was pretty intense, all because of chocolate bunnies. Yep.
The good thing is nobody lost an eye.
No, not yet. No. Calaverse and I haven't quite settled this discussion yet, but
He's still emailing you?
No, you finally stopped. I had to get a restraining order.
There'll never be anything that tops the Cadbury cream egg. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know.
No. Well, you're gonna have to watch the show.
Now I will.
I think you'll be disappointed.
Well, yes and no.
I'm not going to be disappointed because I know I'm right. I don't care what you heathens had to say.
See, there you go. No, that was exactly my attitude the whole time, and it was me versus the rest of the world on that bracket. I could use you as backup on my sixth there, Sandhills.
Man,
you know that's not true, Travis, because Kingpin was saying everything that you said.
Yeah, pretty much. We agreed, except for like the second round. I think we disagreed on that one, whatever, the chocolate egg versus the something else.
And that right there, that's the reason why Kingpin and Travis were a 98% match on gunconnection.net.
Exactly. Same taste in candy and firearms. So, yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, whatever Travis said, Kingpin was just parroting everything. He's like, I can't disagree with Travis.
No, I was using straight logic. I mean, I was digging into statistics and facts and looking at the architectural engineering behind the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I mean, it was really, really freaking intense, man.
Wow. That seems a little bit more in depth than what I want to get when I think about my candy. I just want to eat it. I love candy like a fat guy loves candy. So anyway,
man.
We'll
go
move
give me
right
some candy
along.
right now.
Travis, go ahead. Any final thoughts, and of course, any shameless plugs?
No, I think I've said enough. I just think everybody here should. Anybody watching this show tonight, make sure you guys subscribe to all the people on the panel. They all got great channels, a lot of great content. Otherwise, check out my channel, Travis P11, and that's it, man. Appreciate the invite. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for being here. All right, Duke.
Yep.
You be up.
Hey, well, thanks for the invite. Really enjoyed the panel as always and the discussions. Appreciate the night. Have a good night, man.
You betcha. Thanks for coming in here. All right, Pat, I don't know if you have any videos up on YouTube, but I really think that you ought to get somebody to film you pulling a calf because the miracle of birth is awesome. So I'm just saying maybe that could be something that you could throw out there to the world. We just finished here a couple days ago. We finished The Ranch on Netflix. And I really wish there was somebody out there in the world that actually could show what a real ranch looks like, and people in Hollywood could maybe see that and make a show that looks authentic.
They did an okay job. I mean, there's some elements of it we could identify with. The trips to Dairy Queen and the
still trying to figure out how that town of 500 people, Garrison, Colorado,
Dude,
500 and some odd people, and they've got a Dairy Queen, and they've got Walmart, and they've got Outback,
we think it's like a suburb of Lincoln kind of situation where you cross the street and there's a pasture, but you go like 10 miles into town and you've got access to everything.
It's got to be hooked onto something else. It's crazy. Anyway, Pat, we'll let you go ahead and talk. Thanks for being here, pal.
Hey, thanks again for having me on. And yeah, I've got everything set up, and I might do that here after a bit. Just pulled another one the other day that was about 110 pounds plus, so that was a lot of fun.
4K unedited director's cut here, man. Make it
That's
happen.
right. That's right.
And
Okay,
Criterion Collector.
do
Do
if
it.
you do,
Full frame.
you got it. If you do that, you got to make sure you send Ghost a link so that you can watch it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yes.
You know what would
gotta
be even
do
better?
that.
We just need to get Ghost up to your place sometime, and he can actually help pull a calf, or maybe just get to witness one that doesn't need to be pulled. It would be even better if you don't have to help her.
No, Ghost would faint. He'd faint that away.
Just give him
Yeah,
a crayon; he'll
when I
feel better
made-
in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I made him run twice, so
In one
I don't know how his actually gets.
Oh man.
But yeah, anyway, thanks for having me on again, and always entertaining and informational. So, and long live the Cadbury egg.
Long live the Cadbury. Maybe it's just a Nebraska thing because the Nebraskans are all in agreement here. So, all right.
No,
Well,
I have some too.
all right. See, South Carolina people are okay. I take back all the mean stuff I said about you last week, Night Strike.
Just because I live here doesn't mean I'm from here. I'm not from here.
I don't care.
I just live here.
I
All
don't
right.
care. You're
That's no excuse.
You're guilty by
You
association.
pay
so-
taxes there, so exactly. And, yep.
Yeah.
And actually, now that I think about it, I said an awful lot of mean stuff about you last week, so that's a lot to take back. I take back half of it, Night Strike. I can't take it all back in one shot. It's too much.
I take back the other half.
All right. Well, out there in the chat, you guys kept it active and lively out there, so we sure appreciate that. I have a list being handed over as I talk right here. So again, for those of you that are coming in late, if you were not making comments in the YouTube chat, then we don't know you're out there watching. And I know that there's more people that watch than there are that make comments. So I appreciate all of you. But we want to know you're out there, and we want to be able to say hi to you at the end of the night. So unless you're trying to protect your anonymity, you know what? Come up with a screen name so we don't know who it is, and at least say hi to us. So out there tonight in the chat, we had Kingpin, Vanessa Kitty, G23, Blitz, Fluffy 10mm Jeep Guy, The Rolling Trip, Trauma Jock, Justin Gibbons, Jason Stewart, The Poor Conservative, Calaveras, 32 Special, Ohio 45 ACP, Steadley, Southpaw RX, M. Gabriel, C4 Defense, Keith Gregory, Guy That Comments, The 402 Outdoorsman, Stealth Hunter 1000, Mystic Guns, Jacob S., Rich White, The Birthday Boy, Tim Donahue, Carolina EDC Reviews, DTemp62, Obnoxious One, Ghost Tactical, Defense Dad, Net Flutter, Philo, Mike, Dead Horse, Unknown User, Guitar Man Pete, Agorizer, Ozzy Osbourne, Kinky Sphincter, Tim Allen just walked in the door, Double A just got here, and we're about to wrap it up, but thank you, all of you, for joining us. And again, if you're catching this on the replay, thank you for watching it and catching it later. I know sometimes it's a little late for everybody to catch us live, so we try to make it to where you can watch this any time of day. It doesn't matter if the kids or grandma are within earshot. That's why we keep our language cleaned up just for you all. And for those of you that know me that would be embarrassed if this turned into a filthy sailor chat. So anyway, thank you very much for all of you who watch this. We love all of you. We wouldn't have a chat without you. So on behalf of Night Strike, Rich White, Travis P11, Duke Liberty, Pat Hirsch, Sandhills Sweetheart, and myself, thank you all for watching. This has been the Get Off My Lawn podcast. And I'm going to leave you with a thought before we sign off. I just want you to think about this. You can leave a comment down below if you want to after the fact when this goes to replay. But I just want to know your opinions. If a tree falls in the forest and it lands on a gun grabber, does anybody really want to pull that tree back off of them? I'm just asking. I just want to know. With that, get off my lawn.